Hey, everybody, and welcome again to ProcureTech Time. Welcome to the Road to the ProcureTech Cup, the show that's all about showing you, procurement professionals, the art of the possible with procurement technology. It's episode 22 of the 2025 season. We're coming along nicely, and today we've got Axiom on the show. I'm very excited as they'll be demoing their unique private marketplace platform. So it's not any old marketplace, so you'll want to tune in to see what it's all about and what kind of benefits it could give you if you're living with pain points around catalog management, around having supplier data access to be able to do quality requisitions when you're purchasing from outside your organization. I'm also joined by my co-host here, Gabe Perez. How's it going, Gabe? He's the Chief Strategy Officer at RiseNow, your design partner, or your partner to design, build, and operate next generation supply chain and procurement functions. Sorry, I asked you how is it going before going into that. There, how you doing?
Doing okay, Joel. Doing okay. Happy to be here.
You had some sick kids this week.
Yeah, it seemed like all four of them just wanted to give it. It was a train one to another, but we survived. With four kids, you're used to a lack of sleep and chaos, so we're doing okay.
Yeah. Similarly here, right? I had my two kids sick, and I ended up being sick at the beginning of the week. So I guess it's on par for the course for February, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So just everybody watching, we hope you're doing well and not too sick in your region of the world. Just a reminder, we're on the road to the ProcureTech Cup here, so the journey continues. Last week we had Conversion IS. This week we've got Axiom, as I mentioned at the top of the show. We've got 5 more weeks before we get to the actual LinkedIn tournament, which I hope you'll all be participating and voting in. This morning, the last of the spots sold out for that event. So we've got our 64 participants, and I'll be able to communicate more information on that in coming weeks in the lead up to the tournament. So very excited to keep going here. So, all right, let's bring in Alistair from Axiom here. Alistair Kane, co-founder at Axiom. You're going to be demoing and talking to us about the platform today. So thanks so much for being here. How's it going?
Yeah, great. It's Valentine's Day, everybody. Fantastic.
That's right. That's true. I always forget. We'll make sure to dispense the puns here on that topic. And just before we get into the content, just a reminder on the agenda for everybody. We do a light company overview. Alistair is going to talk to us about the unique value proposition of Axiom. If it fits for you, the ideal customer profile as well, and then we'll get into the demo for about 15 minutes. Then we'll get real in terms of, okay, this is all great when we see the demo, but Gabe will ask a couple tough questions coming out of the demo, and then we'll map Axiom solution to the ProcureTech market map that comes up every week. So that being said, Alistair, I'll let you take it away here.
Fantastic. Thanks, guys. So I'm not going to talk too much about Axiom and the background. If you want to find out more than happy to connect offline. What I want to do is just kick in straight into the romance, a ProcureTech love story around the how organizations are transforming catalog sourcing and automating tail spend. But getting back into the real world, those of us know that quite often you don't find true love immediately. You have to endure sometimes years of heartache and pain. And in our love story, that heartache and pain is around how enterprise organizations are managing complex catalog programs and very painful free text ordering. And what I want to do is just look at it from 3 sort of key personas within these organizations. So we've got our buyer, let's call her Lottie. She might log into your source to pay system or whatever, go to the catalog area and confronted with a plethora of logos. And she knows she's in a world of pain for 25, 30 minutes trying to find the item she's looking for across all these suppliers. It's a clunky experience, as we all know. Guided buying was supposed to solve this, but as we all know in the real world, it's actually added more complexity. Search results are poor, you suffer the wheel of death, etc. So we're still in this position where it's incredibly difficult to compare items across suppliers. If you get taken out to a punch-out catalog, you've got a completely different user experience to deal with. And then if you can't find what you're looking for, you have to come all the way back out and start a really painful free text order perspective. And the pain doesn't stop there. You've got Steve, Louise, and Aaron in procurement. And they are drowning in admin as well. They're managing content changes, price changes. They're finding it increasingly difficult to track changes, to benefits rise across suppliers. They're losing control of their punch outs and pricing on the punch outs, and that's leading to another layer of administrative challenge. And they're also getting sucked into the challenges around free text orders that really should be no touch. Unfortunately, they're far too heavy a touch. And then the third persona, you've got Simon and Julie, and one of your suppliers. They too are sinking in admin. In large organizations, they're managing multiple versions of the same catalog across multiple countries, multiple user groups, etc. And for all that pain, what do they get? Very little back, apart from a few orders. They get no insights, no understanding really of what the organization is buying. And if they want to try and extend their exposure across the organization, they're back in the old world of some quite expensive sales activity. And they too, believe it or not, are frustrated with the time consumption around managing these free text orders, which for them really are items that sit in their catalog and should be easily accessible. So we've got some pain to deal with. You'd think by now the problem's getting better, but in fact it seems to be getting worse. I'm very happy to send anybody watching this study we did on LinkedIn a couple of years ago. And you can see some of the world's largest organizations chipped in with their pain points around this area. And you'll see on the right-hand side that over 3/4 of the people who are managing complex catalog programs in organizations at the moment are looking to change because of all those reasons that I just sort of talked about. But let's not despair. Cupid is here to make you fall in love with catalogs and free text ordering again in the way of the Axiom platform, which is technology driven by Gen AI, as you'd expect, and beautifully wrapped in a managed service. And as I'll show you in a minute, there are 3 key components to the platform. There's a beautiful buying portal. There's a procurement control center that allows procurement to take complete control of the operation. And then there's a supplier hub. And what we do is we upload an organization's suppliers into that hub. And we then create, as Joel was saying, a closed marketplace for each organization made up of their suppliers with their categories, with a beautifully automated free text module as well. Simply connects to any source to pay suite, any ERP system, and any intake and orchestration layer. So that means the buyers are really only one click away from receiving some pretty outstanding benefits, particularly in 2 key areas around the amount of time, admin time being released, and that's across all areas. That's buyer, procurement, and supplier. For Lottie on the buying side, there's an 80% reduction in time to find what she's looking for and check out. And importantly, the platform measures savings on every single transaction as it goes through the platform, and is driving a pretty significant return on investment, which is why organizations like these here love working with the Axiom platform.
And Alistair, as you're doing that, right, you say source to pay suites, ERP systems, intake and orchestration. I imagine, like, if I'm a complex organization that has multiple of these, right, I may have certain business units on source to pay suites, others on direct on ERP, they don't have source to pay, and I'm using intake and orchestration in certain areas of the business as well. Can I use Axiom as, for all of those systems as the one-stop shop for catalogs, regardless of the back-end system?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And one of the things obviously that's happening in the world at the moment is this transformation, say, to S4HANA. And you've got organizations that are, have that transformation program over a period of years. They don't have to wait until they roll S4HANA out to use Axiom. They can put all their catalog into Axiom, and then we simply plug it into each version as it lands in each region or country. So you can sort your catalog solution out right at the beginning while you're still on that transformation journey. So it's a very easy start to a digital transformation program.
Very cool.
So yeah, I have a question too before you get into the demo. Well, first, I know why you have so many Valentines in the background after that presentation. You must be a very popular guy. But
they're all for the dog on the sofa, all for Ruthie.
but I feel like I've heard this story before. over the years, there's been, historically when there was ERPs, there was a wave of catalog tools out there. Then the source to pay suites came around. There was a consolidation. Many of them do have some level of level 3 web crawlers, whatever you want to call it, punch out. But yet you're only 4 years old, which means the problem hasn't really been fixed. If you've been able to start a company, can you tell me a little bit more, tell the audience a little bit more about the pains that people with some of these, many of those systems you have are in Magic Quadrants, are in IDC reports, but yet you still have some very large customers using your solution. So, why hasn't it been solved by the source to pay systems in historical marketplaces?
Yeah, look, I think, every source to pay system or whatever has some form of catalog functionality. And I think, that works well for if you've got a small catalog program. When you're running very complex programs across multiple categories in multiple regions with multiple user groups, they're just not designed, just not fit for purpose. Then layer over the top of that this digital transformation drive where people are suddenly realizing actually that the buyer is king. They want the best experience, the easiest experience. And everybody on this call knows that, sometimes the interfaces and the experience of going through and using source to pay systems isn't the easiest function. So we're trying to bring consumer-like buying experience into the office environment. And, we're also used to it at home. And as soon as we walk through the door of the office, we walk back into the 1980s a little bit.
I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. Let's see it.
Fantastic.
Sorry. All right, let's get going here.
Fantastic. So this is the buyer side. So I've come through from my source to pay system, for instance. Procurement have very kindly written a nice little happy Valentine's Day message at the top. They have complete control over it. As I've punched through, it's brought my credentials through. So I then have a very personalized search experience. And then I simply type in what I'm looking to find. And I can then simply put in my entry, and instantly what this has done is brought back search results. And this brings back search results from all suppliers who are on the platform, irrespective of how their data, whether it's hosted on the platform or whether it's via catalog API into the platform. So let's say, for instance, I'm interested in this first set of pliers. Here I immediately see a short summary of that product. It's exactly the same product, and I can see that it's supplied by 2 suppliers. So immediately I can make a buying decision on the cheapest. Let's just hang fire there for a minute and have a scroll down the page. You'll see the system's automatically recommended other items, what people also bought, functionally similar items. For some functionally similar items, we have a lovely bit of Gen AI that tells people how these are different to the item that I'm looking at. But let's go back up. And for some strange reason, I want to select the more expensive item. Bit of a bizarre buying choice, but we see it often. And then I've decided I just want to buy one item. I'm going to just check that out. But hang on a minute. There's a procurement rule here that actually says that I can't buy hand tools, and I've got to do something else. So what we're going to do now is just going to pop over to the procurement side of the platform, and we're going to go into buyer permissions. And I can see here a rule has been set up that stops people buying hand tools. I'm simply going to go on to that as procurement, and I'm going to disable that. And then just obviously showing this for functionality's sake. And then I'm going to go back and I'm going to come up here again. And I'm going to place that item in the basket. I'm also going to place the more expensive item in the basket.
So this is where I think I've seen a lot of catalog tools be demoed, whether they're in a source to pay system or not. You see all the pretty pictures, you see all the detail, but some of those logos that you showed, have hundreds of catalogs across dozens of languages, across dozens of currencies. So how does it all get in here, right? Because I think the maintenance side of it, you hit on that in the PowerPoint presentation. Making it look like this and keeping up with it is one of the biggest challenges I've seen, and it's nearly impossible for procurement to do on their own without a managed service. How does this all get in here? How does the technology make it simple to bring the data in?
So the technology makes it simple because on the supplier side of the portal, which we'll have a look at in a minute, the suppliers have a number of options to upload their data. So they can either upload it as a simple file, they can upload it via our catalog API. So then we get real-time information. And the beauty of the Axiom platform is that as a supplier, once you've uploaded your data once to the platform, then that data sits on the platform, and then you can apply it to any organization, any private marketplace that we have on the organization. And then all you're simply doing is you're uploading pricing per client, and you're uploading pricing per client per country. So you're not having to worry about managing 90 different versions of product data. You've effectively got your master product data, and then you're simply applying some very simple rules to apply pricing for country, for business unit, etc. And we've got a fantastic roadmap, which we might have some time to talk about. But one of the things we're launching in the next quarter is every time somebody uploads data on the platform, we run AI over it, and it gives an automatic data score for the quality of that data. And then it plays back to the supplier the areas that they need to improve and what they need to do to improve it. And certainly for some clients, they want to see the ability almost to set a bar over which the suppliers have to get from a data quality before they'll accept their products into the platform. The suppliers love it because once they update the data and improve it, they're only doing it once. And so it's incremental improvement of that data. And we see it improve rapidly.
And it sounds like, for bigger shops, bigger outfits, you can automate that via the API process.
Correct. Yeah, absolutely. Just very quickly, because I know we've got quite a lot to get through. I just want to just cover here a lovely little feature that we call basket optimization. So this is about trying to make people make the right buying decision. So you'll remember I actually bizarrely chose the most expensive one and put that in my basket, and I'm about to go and check out. But hang on, the platform's saying, look, you're missing savings here. And over on the left-hand side, it's recommending alternatives. First of all, it's trying to recommend some functionally similar items, but this is the cheaper item here. This is exactly the same item, and I can simply swap that. It's saying it's already in my cart, but I can simply swap that, and that will deliver that saving. So we're trying to get people to make the right buying decision at the point of search and then at the point of basket. And interestingly, when people start to use the platform, they have very old habits of I've always bought from so-and-so, so I'm always going to go and buy from so-and-so. Very quickly, they realize that actually in a couple of clicks, they get exactly the same product and they can save their organization 8, 9, 10, 15%, which over thousands of purchases, hundreds of millions of dollars of spend adds up very quickly.
How just doing that, Alistair, like being able to compare, right? The matching, because does the data has to be exactly in the same format from different suppliers to enable that?
Yeah, so it does a number of various matches. MPN is a key one. Then it starts to look at the product description, runs it through a large language model, etc. But the items that it says are exactly the same. It uses a different variation of that to come up with functionally equivalent items.
Okay.
So yeah.
So pulling the data in allows you to run that on all data sets and then be able to display that kind of information to users.
Correct. And in the roadmap coming, we have a really nice AI master data model coming that's going to allow us to link to organizations' central master data repository as well. That way, we have better quality master data on the platform. We can feed that back into an organization's central master data repository. So just quickly on the market source functionality, if somebody can't find what they're looking for, we simply go into a market source mode. And again, the platform is trying to make me buy things off the marketplace, but I can say if none of those are suitable, then it knows I'm searching for these suppliers. So it's starting to pre-populate our RFP, and there's various things that we can change here. I can, there are rules set here. So procurement have told me that this supplier is a mandatory supplier. I must go to that supplier. But as a buyer, I can go and select a couple of other suppliers that I want to bid. I can add various other elements, etc. I can add more items to my request requirement. And then I can just see a summary of that and submit that item. And there I have it in my RFQ section. And if I go over and to the supplier side now, and I have a look at one of those suppliers that we just see, I can see that they've just received this quote. This would all happen via email. They get an email, they click on the link, it would take them to this area. They can then simply go into this section, they see all the information, and then the fields asterisks are the ones they've got to fill in. I'm just going to pick anything for a bit of fun, certainly not live plant material, but I'm going to say we're in Canadian dollars. Just keep Joel happy. So.
And as you're filling this out, Alistair, I'm wondering, like, if I'm a shop that's going to get a lot more quotes or a high volume of quotes, there's possibilities for me to automate this as well, right? So I can do.
Correct. I'm going to show. Yeah, exactly. So that's exactly right. We can integrate with anyone's API, quoting API. Absolutely right. So make it as simple as possible. 3 days, and then I'm going to say, so there we go. I've responded to the RFQ, a few clicks of a button. I'm going to send this. And then we have, this is the ability to stop this Groundhog Day sourcing. So as a supplier, I've responded to that quote, and now I can go, listen, that needs to be in my product list. So I can just simply then, going through a few clicks, I can create a new catalog item. And then that item is there for everybody.
If the item was already there, would it have, pre-populated? Found it?
Where it said, what about these, right at the start of the process, it would have brought that item up there. Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right.
But if I'm a supplier and I was offering these to another customer, but they weren't with the customer that requested the sourcing, because I've already put my data in the Axiom platform, when I started filling it out, would it just auto pull all the data, correct?
Correct. Correct.
Groundhog Day sourcing. I don't think I've ever heard that term in my 15 years in the industry.
Well, we've achieved something today. Brilliant. So just going back, couple of things. I mean, the depth of we're in the procurement side again. This is what they would normally see when they hit their landing page. So full ability to see analytics around spend. You can see who your main customers are, what they're spending. If you want to dive into Daniela, see her activity, you get a sort of similar view from it. You can see all the individual requisitions that she's made. And you can see there's a big focus here on savings. So we can go into this one that looks particularly interesting. You can drill right down to, this is her basket. These were the items in it. And you can see that it's recorded savings in real time. And there are various ways of tracking savings. So cost avoidance, what some people call swap savings. You look at store savings, which is basically the public price versus the negotiated price drop savings. So what we paid for it last year versus this year, for instance. So usual full visibility of that. And then, talking about removing the admin burden, what we are focused on very much is around, first of all, procurement can allow suppliers to see certain insights to help them drive their productivity. So procurement can decide whether for every order they can show them the spend on that order, the minimum price achieved on the marketplace. the maximum price, the price range, the rank, the number of suppliers and where they sit in the rank. So you're feeding back in real time to suppliers the opportunity for them to make commercial decisions to change their proposition. So gone are the days of people seeing an annual review of pricing. That no longer needs to happen. That can happen instantly, and we see it all the time. We see suppliers seeing where they're sitting in ranking and saying, if I just tweak my pricing, then I can make some changes. There's lots more to show you, Joel. I know we're sort of running out of time, so I'm happy to just sort of close there. But hopefully that gives people a flavour of the depth and power of the platform.
Yeah, and maybe we time for a few questions, and we'll get into from the chat here and get into the Let's Get Real segment. So Taj had a question where he's asking, so basically you have internal and punch out catalogs that users can search across, I guess, across all the content, correct? No need to do separate searches.
Correct.
And the question I'll add myself is, when you were looking at Daniela, she was really nice. She took all the least expensive savings, but I could also see users that are missing savings or they're taking more expensive items. And I have that at the granular level of the user by purchase. So I'm able to follow up with them and say, hey, why are you having this behavior, right? And then maybe I change the catalog offering, or I change my strategy as procurement to be able to drive more savings.
Correct. And what the platform's doing is it's stopping procurement having to focus on admin, and it's giving them insight and intelligence to go and have those conversations with the buyers, to have the conversations with suppliers. And it's extraordinary how much time people spend in the admin of managing content and catalog changes. All that goes away.
All right, very cool. I think we've I'm impressed at the very least, but let's time to get real, I think.
So I'm going to stick with the Groundhog's Day theme and go back to the question I asked earlier. Amazon-like experience, like we shop on the weekend, making it simple. A lot of people use those same things to get the systems that you had on one of your first slides purchased in the first place, whether it was a source-to-pay system, an intake system, and like I said earlier, they've been consolidated, the catalog marketplaces. Yours is very slick and usable, but how do the professionals on the phone that have, gone to the mat and got funding for source to pay or intake systems and still have catalog pains, how are your customers making the case for a story that's already been told but hasn't been achieved?
Yeah, look, I think it's straightforward. I think the case comes around to how much time people are spending trying to do things that really shouldn't take very long at all. As I said before, every system has some form of functionality. Just because you got that functionality doesn't mean it's easy to use. And I think we're living in a world now where people want to find what they're looking for as quickly as possible. The people that are controlling that don't want to be spending their time, deluged in admin tasks. They want a system that is very easy to control. You can set business rules, etc., and almost plug and play and leave it, and it's make it a very easy process for all parts of the of those three sort of parties.
And I feel like there's a walled off garden piece, right? Where with like if you're using a source to pay suite catalog function, like it's not available to your ERP system or to an intake system, or maybe it is, but it might be harder to connect. So I don't know if there's something there as well, Alistair. Like, does that come into the picture?
Yeah, look, I think it does, absolutely. And I think also what you find with all the usual systems is you've got people trying to manage hosted catalogs, you've got supplier managed catalogs, you've got procurement managed catalogs, you've got punch out catalogs. As soon as you get a decent sized catalog program, that complexity just expands and expands, and that's what grinds the system to a halt. And that's why, as a buyer, you just go, do you know what, I've always bought from supplier B, I'm just going to go and buy from supplier B because it's easy. And that's forcing organizations to waste a huge amount of money, and we are talking catalog spends in the hundreds of millions of dollars, and people are literally leaving tens of millions of dollars on the table because they're not helping the buyers make the right choice as quickly as possible. It's just simple maths.
Very cool. All right. And then just to wrap up here, I'll let you, Alistair, you showed us, I think it was pretty clear where you land on this ProcureTech Cup market map, but just for viewers watching, can you illustrate kind of where you sit, where you see yourself fitting into the ecosystem? And, you talked about roadmap features, so where you're heading as well in the future.
Yeah, no, look, it's fantastic. I think you've got us in exactly the right spot. We got some great features. I talked about material master data feature coming up. We've got a lovely inventory management piece, particularly for some of our pharmaceutical clients, that allow people to order directly from the local lab store, etc. And then I think the feature that we're really excited about that's going to come later in the year is the ability for Axiom to be the vendor of record and allow an organization to source from any of the suppliers on the Axiom platform, even if they're not their own suppliers. So very simply expand their supply base without the pain that they go through, particularly in the sort of free text order space. So that, I think, will unlock another raft of benefits for organizations.
That's very cool. I think you'll be you're very busy this year in that case.
We are.
So that being said, Alistair, thanks so much for coming on the show. Where can people find you? Where this is the best place to get in touch if they want to learn more?
Yeah, so axiomdata.io is the website. Alistair Kane at axiomdata.io. Love to have a chat. If anybody's interested in that LinkedIn article I briefly showed up, just drop me a note. Very happy to show people more. I've probably touched on about 4% of the functionality of the platform. So get in touch if you want a full demo.
Very cool. Yeah, and that's the reality of the show, right? So thanks, Alistair, for that. We'll make sure that the people have those details. For everybody else watching, thanks so much for being here. Gabe and I both operate in the consulting space for ProcureTech as well. So me with my solo shop and him with the big firepower of RiseNow. So if you have things that are going on in the ProcureTech space, you're crafting a roadmap, you need help executing on it and making sure that it's going to give you the required business outcomes you're looking for, you know where to find us on LinkedIn. You can also scan the QR code that's up on screen right now to follow along for the rest of the road to the ProcureTech Cup that starts March 24th. So we'll thank you again for being here. Gabe, Alistair, thanks so much for being here. And we'll see you again next week, everybody.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Bye-bye.